star, the man himself, Mr. Kwame. Kwame with the silent E, which I have not
Oh.
forgotten. It's not Kwame, it's Kwame. How are we doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How's everything with you on your end, man?
Bless, bro. Bless. It's good to have you here doing an interview. Me and you rolled together, protocols for a couple months. And now you want to break down to everyone what you do and kind of the business you've started and what you're doing right now, and just a little bit of your journey. I'll let you kick off, and then we'll go from there.
Basically from protocols up till now.
Yeah. Or what's your background? Kind of tell us about you, where you come from, not country wise. I mean, you're American, but like the background, career wise, just what brought you to the point where you and I are having this convo.
Yeah, so ultimately I've always been into like sales, but I was doing a lot of B2B sales, so business to business sales as an account manager. And then I would say in around 2023 was when I transitioned to B2C sales.
Hmm.
And that's kind of when I got into a company that was doing one call closing, but inside the home for a roofing company. And fell in love with it because it was kind of cool building rapport with customers, connecting with them, and then the psychology of getting them to buy in the spot.
Oh yeah,
Um, Had a good month there, and ultimately I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my money and I want to try going to Spain to live in Spain and maybe try this in the high ticket space.
yep.
Um, so I got on an offer, like a fitness offer. I got V-Shred, fuck it, got on V-Shred
I
and
used to
was
call it V bread on the channel, but now we just say names now, so you're good. V shred.
yeah,
Qualm
V-Bread.
was one of the V shred ones, guys. Who watched
Yeah.
this? And I was talking about V shred. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
And it was definitely not anything like roofing one call closing. It was different, and I was getting cooked all the time. So I was
Mm,
like, let me see if I can go on YouTube University and get some free education there.
yep.
And happened to see a black brother providing solid value. So I was like, let me see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And got into the school community, and I was like, damn, this guy is just providing massive value, doing God's work. And at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna overcome the fear of the risk. Like, I feel like I trust this guy. I'm just gonna go all in, and I locked in the
Yep.
protocols.
Yep, easy. And then you pushed and pushed and pushed. And what I think is cool about you, so those who don't know, which we'll talk about that in this call, because you're making your money now, not with traditional high ticket sales. You ended up pivoting and going back into roofing. You're starting your own thing. You've done 13K. It should have been 18, which I wanted to use in the title, but we had to make a pivot because we got to stay ethical and honest here. So some shit happens. So it's 13, but you're gonna stack it. I think with the next 3, 4 months, you're gonna be doing 25, 30, 40K, like no question, more than that, even so you're back in roofing sales now. Tell me kind of about what was your driver behind like getting sales training in the first place. What was the kind of reason you wanted to pull the trigger on training in the high ticket space with us?
Yeah, the reason was I was trying to utilize some of the tactics, which in that roofing company, they had a lot of old school sales tactics. Their company that was built in the 80s, the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that in a different offer in the high ticket space. It was just a much more, I guess at that point, logical. It was just definitely more high level type of sales that I recognize is not necessarily needed in roofing.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe wholeheartedly you have to have a very high skill level and skill set in the high
Yep.
ticket industry where you don't need to be as high level sales acumen in roofing, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're as a business owner, to be quite honest. Like I'll be honest, I'm not a level five sales guy at all, but I believe I can definitely make a lot more money
Yep.
in roofing than I ever could in the high ticket space. But also, I do have an MBA degree, not saying that makes me special, but I do feel like I have a lot better access to utilizing that business acumen
Yeah.
with running a business as
Oh
opposed
yeah.
to being a closer. You know what I mean?
Huge. How do you feel like the principles overlap? Because you and I have done a couple one-to-one calls where we've actually spoken about how some of the protocols training we had, how that plugs into what you're doing as far as roofing. And I think that is a lot of overlap, pitching certain conversations when there's resistance, objections, all this stuff. So let's get a little bit technical. What are some of the ways in which you're using like sales psychology live while being in people's homes actually selling roofing contracts, roofing plans? Because I think it's such an interesting dynamic. How does that work for you?
Yeah, I'll start off with this. I definitely do not regret at all investing into the protocols because the
Mm-hmm.
protocols has ultimately boosted my sales acumen and psychology just in the human. Like, regardless if it's in roofing and I'm inside of the home, I
Hmm.
do have to start off with a discovery. I do want to figure out essentially why like, especially if I've noticed they've had leaking or a bad roof for quite a bit of time. I think it makes sense to ask, why haven't you gotten this done earlier? Why
Yep.
do you want to make it happen now? What has kind of been some of the bottlenecks that's prevented you from getting this done now?
Are these
If this
questions you're actually asking right now and during consultations?
Absolutely. It's
Amazing.
necessary because that information is utilized and useful in
Yep.
objection handling to have
Yep.
it as backup. You know what I mean? It's also another way to create urgency besides
Hmm.
just saying it's going to cost more money if you put this off later. Money
Yep.
typically is the driving factor, but these are still good reasons, especially if I'm doing an inspection. An inspection is
Hmm.
when I'm going over the photos, what I see, you know, I really do like to sit down and I'm like, if this persists, this could be more expensive to you. And I
Yeah.
like to go ahead and go into that fear state or that future consequence state of,
Yep.
if you don't get this going, what is that going to do for you guys if you have to do this in an emergency situation and it costs you more? Can you guys
Yeah.
afford to do this in an emergency
Hmm.
situation? You know what I mean? Um,
Amazing.
so discovery is definitely huge, and that comes from protocols and how you do it. And then objection handling, I would say I don't use it's kind of a hybrid, but I don't use the old school roofing company objection handling. I think
Hmm.
that it's very old school and it comes down to a lot of old school sales tactics. I do like
When
figuring
you
out.
when you when you sorry to cut you off, when you say old school, what does that mean? Like, what are the strategies and mechanisms they're using in the old school style? And what does that look like?
Great. So I still do price drops. So for people who don't know, price drops are you have a price and then to get them to act now, because one of the hardest things to overcome is when they want to say they want to look for other bids because they want to look
Yeah.
for the same comparable value and price. So it's hard to overcome that. So you do need price drops to kind of build that urgency to get it done now because they're losing out on these arbitrary savings.
Hmm.
Um, but typically with the old school sales, they're going to provide a rebuttal. Hey, the price is the price because of XYZ, and you're getting all of this. You're really not paying for a roof, but
Hmm.
because this is the case, let me go into another price drop. I
Hmm.
still like to ask them questions that put them in a position to force to defend their own logic,
Yeah.
and I try to
Yeah.
get them to weaken their grounds in their logic. And I've noticed one of the best tools that I've learned in protocols is always asking after you rebuttal something, asking a question to put it
Yeah.
back and to take control.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
and the reframes are huge. I never did this when I started with the company prior to protocols, when they say,
Yeah.
I don't make same day decisions, or that's too expensive, or these sort of things. Those reframes and protocols are
Hmm.
fire. Like, because you're
Yeah.
ultimately basically either you or the prospect is going to come up with the terms of agreements for that interactions, and that's going to
Hmm.
be it. Either you're going to agree that they don't make same decisions, or you're going to fight until you agree that they do make same decisions.
Yeah. Yep.
And that
Those
is
lines of
huge.
logic.
It's powerful, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
powerful. I don't care what anybody says, it's
It's
powerful.
powerful. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know what, one of the coolest things is working with people who shift into becoming business owners or even people who were business owners. Cause you know that a lot of the guys who come into guys and girls, so we have some awesome ladies in now. So excuse me. A lot of the people who come into protocols are closers, right? They're sales reps or they are setters who want to become closers. But we have a handful of people who have either been closers and then pivoted into becoming business owners midway through or after the program, like yourself, like a guy like Ty is doing this. Henry is doing this. Colin Greer, they all pivoted to becoming business owners. And then we have people who are just business owners when they come in, like Jabari, who is also featured on the channel. And it's interesting to see how the sales skills that we train on and the processes and protocols, as it says, like as they're used in a business and they can be plugged in. So maybe it's not where you're taking like 50 calls or even more like 80, 90 calls as a closer and just day to day in the grind, but you're plugging in these systems into the business and using that to consistently scale. I think that's really interesting. Where do you want to take the business? Like, what's your goal with this kind of long term? What's the vision you see for it?
To be honest, I'm not saying this to be cocky or to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe that this is a seven-figure business. And I'm not talking about revenue seven figures. I'm talking about profit. Like, I do want to
Mm-hmm.
get to a point where I'm hitting 100,000 per month. And I believe I can do it because I know that obviously that's going to come with having the right systems in place. I'm going to need the right team. I'm going to need like, you know, a right project manager. I'm going to
Mhm.
need a few more sales reps under me. But I believe this is a hundred K a month business just
Yeah.
because it's not about more roofing like sales I need per month. It's about selling at a higher margin. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 10 roofs at 10K or or 5 roofs at blah blah blah, whatever that is,
Mhm.
20K is how
Mhm.
you get it. So I don't need 100 roofs a month. I just
Mhm.
need 10 solid roofs at high margin, which is
Yep.
doable. And I have a solid marketing agency that I know that the more I invest in Facebook ads, I will get those leads that I need to do that. So
Mhm.
um I'm ready to become a millionaire. So
Amazing.
that's
Amazing.
the vibe.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Me too. I'm gonna race you. I'm gonna race you to that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll have to catch
to,
up, man. You guys are killing it.
yeah, but you've started really strong. And I'm paying the whole team $1 billion a month, not a billion. Shout out Charlie Husham and the new Jackson, the new partner we have. But no, it's great. I love it. Let me ask you this. So we train in protocols really, really intensely. Like, and I saw you go through. How long were you with us? You were with us, I think 6 months exactly. Or was it 6 months or 5 months? Or
Nah,
did you do three,
it
4?
was like 3 to 4 months. Yeah, but I had
Something like
one-on-ones.
that. Yeah, yeah. You did one to one with me. So you trained like really intensely. Like you showed up, you knocked out your role plays, you were like on it. You've been around the sales space. You've seen like other sales trainers and stuff. And I'm not asking this to make it about me specifically. This call is about protocols, but this talk is, but I'm curious, like your opinion on the way we train in terms of like the dynamics of how we push sales reps that you've seen from other people you were training with and even yourself. What is that experience like? Just in, like be super transparent. What is it like? What are some of the pros, cons, whatever your assessment is of the experience of running with us for like 4 months? What do you go
Yeah.
through?
So I'm gonna be again transparent. This is not like you did not pay me to say what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? I'm
We
saying this.
traumatized you, Kwame. I know we did. Okay.
Yeah, but
It's
I
very
think
fucking difficult. But go
it's
ahead, please.
difficult. It's difficult. So again, the reason why I do not regret at all training here because sales acumen, sales IQ, human psychology, a solid sales framework, and I believe protocols is the best framework because I've worked with different sales companies. I've worked on high ticket. This absolutely, hands down, was the best thing for me and
Mhm.
understanding how humans work. Because for me, I've noticed, especially when I was in the home, is if I have an objection that I have to overcome, I'm so focused in my head on what I have to say that maybe I come off combative or defensive, and then their sales resistance is up, and now we're debating. Boom. But one of the biggest things you talk about is being present, not focusing on what you're saying, letting it come through. So that was one of the things that I want to just mention out on that level. But in terms of the process of the grind, it is such a intense grind. I remember we'd be on these sessions and you would be willing to go on after the time frame,
Yeah.
just doing hard, massive role plays, doing insane feedback. You're nitpicky on the smallest detail on perfection.
Mhm.
And we all would be mentally drained afterwards. You know what I mean? Like needing to take a nap afterwards to just relax the brain.
Yeah.
And it's very logical based. And for some people, like myself, it took time. And to show how protocols was, I put in time on the role plays, time in the meetings, and even times on one-on-ones, and still didn't come out, at a level that I wanted to come out on. And that just shows you that you don't care about favoritism. You don't care
Mhm.
about who the person is. You don't care if they even pay extra for one-on-ones. They have to fucking know the protocols in order for
Mhm.
you to say, hey, they are level 3, they're this or that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you want hard, intensive training, but that's going to be worth it. That's going to put you in a different position because I've been on V-Shred, I've been in companies with other sales reps and they don't have this framework, man. They
Yeah.
do not have this IQ and they just don't.
Yeah. The way we train is way different. I want to put an emphasis on making the training like difficult, not just for the sake of it, like because of ego, but making it difficult because that's going to lead to you guys being able to take this and apply it in other areas. And quick to qualify something you said you didn't come out at the level you wanted to. It doesn't mean Kwame was like mad about the training. Okay, guys, to be clear, it's because we have a levels ranking system in the program. So if we take that soundbite, I did everything I could and I didn't get to where I wanted to be at the end. let me qualify it. We have a level system, and you level up through the program, and that level from level 2 to level 3 is very difficult to make. And you didn't hit that exactly in the program. But I think there was a tangible difference in the way that you sell post program to beginning of the program. The one thing that I think is cool is that because now you're applying it in business, I think it will make you a lot of money. As you said, you're honest, you're running a 7-figure business now. Like you will be running a 7-figure business. It will happen. One thing I would want some of your advice on, meaning advice for others watching this, people that are coming in as sales reps. I actually have two questions. I'll ask them separately. First one is you've been now in the high ticket sales space. You were in the space for, I think, a good 6 to 8 months, give or take. Was that around how long it was? Like where you were in it, closing V-Shred, in the programs, looking at coaches. And okay. Do you have people that are on the fence about high ticket sales and are just like, do I do this? Do I do like run a business? Do I do something else? People who want to make online money. What is your actual assessment of high ticket sales? Because I don't run a biz op, so our marketing is never convincing people to do high ticket sales. It's never that, which is also why we scale a little bit slower because I'm not trying to convince people to do this so they could pay me. I'm like, if you really want to do high ticket sales and do this to yourself, which you can do because it can make you a bunch of money, then do it. If not, totally fine as well. So now that I have you here, which is great because you're not so biased because you were in it and then you left it. So you're not like Husham, Charlie, Frank, whoever I've had before on the channel, who's like, I love it, changed my life, go for it. You're kind of in the middle, I guess. What is your thoughts on high ticket sales? What do you think about it? Should people be doing it?
To be honest, I'm part of me is still frustrated that I didn't like make it in high ticket sales because to me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, to be on a solid offer, to understand logic and to be able to do mental jujitsu on reps on prospects every single day in order to help them benefit and change their lives and to be able to live wherever the fuck I want. That would have been that would have been a good life, to be quite honest. I mean, because now I'm stuck in the States, you know what I mean, to do this business. So if you want that freedom and to be able to make 5 figures a month and more than that, like, I mean, it's a no-brainer, you know what I mean? But I think everything works out for what works out for a reason. I would say, based off of my experiences and talking to my connects within QL Pro, I think the challenge is the opportunity, right? I mean, I'm not gonna go all into that because I'm not an expert, but it seems like it's the opportunity, find the opportunity. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
not about what you know, it's about who you know. Because I've seen on even like V-Shred, you have some guys who are definitely not level 5, level 4, level 3, but they're getting the best leads and they're making a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money. And then you have high level guys with the level 5 skill set and they're still broke.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the tough part. But I think when you invest in your skill set and now you have these different things like you'll pro this partnership and that sort of thing with the
Mm-hmm.
right opportunity, now the world is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a very political answer. Are you gonna go into once you scale and sell this business? Are you gonna do politics next?
Honestly, I would be the mayor of my city, to be honest.
Okay. I didn't because we didn't get a solution on this, whether it's where high ticket sales is for. I get it. I think here's my thoughts, and I've said this on YouTube already, and then I'm going to ask you a second question, kind of related to it. I think that high ticket sales is not for everyone. I think that the rite of passage you go through to get really good at sales is for everyone. And I think that some people actually will have access to more freedom even faster than they would if they went to high ticket sales. Because I think that there's just different kind of mental framework that goes along with what's with being good in high ticket sales. I don't know what it is because I haven't identified it yet. And I hope that this doesn't scare some people who are watching this. Maybe they will because they're looking at me to have all the answers. I don't have all the fucking answers. But some people I've seen come into protocols and I'm like, oh, they're not going to make it. Like they're not. And then they've smashed it. Like genuinely, there's people there like making money now. There's also some people that came in and I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be the top closer within 2-3 months. Which I told you that about you, by the way. I was like, yo, he's because I think you're super sharp. I told you this. Remember, we had our conversation
Yeah.
like when you came into 101, and you're super sharp. You're super on point, bro. And I was like, but then and I was like, he's gonna be one of the top performers we have. But in a way, though, it's kind of weird. There's an asterisk next to it because if you die because you're selling now your own offer, you are a salesman still. You're just selling your offer. If you smash that and come end of year, or let's say next year, you're doing like 80, 100K a month, and you're still taking 70% of your consultations, let's pretend, or 80%, you did fucking smash it. You just didn't do it as a high ticket sales rep. It's the same principles. So I'm torn. I don't know how to see it. I can't tell who gets good and who doesn't. It's weird.
You're never gonna know. That's in any
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
there's just not gonna be like but I think with I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I just think with high
Hmm.
ticket sales, it's so mental
Hmm.
that and you only have a certain amount of hours in the day and a certain amount of calls in the day. So I think
Hmm.
that is a huge difference, versus
Hmm.
like maybe at a company and it's like boots on the ground, a traditional brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Like I have more of that effort where if I need to, I'll knock on doors. I'm gonna stay extra. I can create
Mm.
opportunity. It's just with high ticket, I felt for me personally, maybe it's a certain thing up here, but I feel like you're limited in what you can do every
Hmm.
single day. So that's why for
Hmm.
me, I don't think this was the right thing. But for some people,
Interesting.
you, I mean, you
Yeah.
have that next level logical brain, whatever the case may be,
I
then high
appreciate this. I appreciate this conversation actually a lot. This has been because we've had a bunch of these interviews, these kind of case study interviews on the channel. And this is one of the ones where I feel has been the most transparent. We're not like mincing words. All the previous ones is like, yeah, it's awesome. Go, go, go for it. But now we're kind of like weighing in our own heads, like live. And you and I have had some amazing conversations over the last couple months together, just privately. But now here on this forum, because everyone's going to see this, if you're watching this, like let it scare you, I would say, because the people that we work with and that we train are people who belong in the program. I still believe you absolutely, Kwame, belong in that program because you're going to take it, use it to build something amazing, right? But I would say if you're on the fence, you're one of these bizop kind of people who's like, yeah, I want to make 10K a month online within 30 days, and it's not for you. The program is not for you. Like the way this is, it's difficult. It's really difficult, and it will challenge you, and you will have to be uncomfortable, but it leads to a whole bunch of freedom, I think. We kind of answered the second question that I was going to ask. The last thing that I'll kind of ask you and just like look into for someone to really get good in sales, and you can talk like as a business owner as well, and just kind of as someone who's now been around the sales block and you understand, I think, sales well. You understand, you met a lot of sales reps. For someone to get good at sales and use sales as a vehicle to change their life, what needs to happen and what is that path, or what does that look like? I know it's a very broad question. So if this was a sales call, then I would have to niche it down, but I'm going to keep it broad because I'm not trying to collect cash at the end of this call. So we'll keep it broad. What what do you think is for someone to use to get good at sales? What do you think needs to be done? How does that path happen for them?
I'm gonna start off kind of broad and then I'll go narrow.
Floor is yours.
I really have noticed, again, working at different companies, B2B, B2C, and then doing protocols. I have noticed, and I was thinking about this because I just started jujitsu. I've been doing jujitsu consistently 2 to 3 days a week for the last 3 months now. And I've noticed things about the top level performers. They fucking love and respect the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that you have to be passionate about it, but they have to be passionate and obsessive about learning and getting to the next level. If not, then it's just, you're not going to get there, especially with sales when the best opportunities are deserving for the best reps. So if this is kind of a work-life balance thing, doesn't matter if it's jujitsu, doesn't matter if it's for a company, doesn't matter if it's your business.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just a work-life balance thing, then you're putting that effort into balance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really trying to get to the next level, if you're really trying to improve, then you have to be in a moment of where you're just locking in and respecting the game. You mentioned when you had a period where I guess you were broke or whatever the case may be, you fell on hard times.
Yeah.
You started doing your own program of sales that you were doing for someone else and you locked in for 90 days. When I was in Barcelona, I felt like I was in Barcelona. I was, but I really wasn't. Like for
Mm-hmm.
those 90 days I was in Barcelona, I was really locking in on getting better, but I wanted to get better because I was like, I can play mental jiu-jitsu with prospects and like kind of swayed them. That's what made me happy for it,
Mm-hmm.
my business now, to be honest, I work every day. Every day.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, come on, Qualm, since you made this amount of money, you should set a milestone. You should be able to celebrate. And I'm like, being able to work for myself is a celebration. Not having to go back to corporate America
Mm-hmm.
is the celebration. I
Mm-hmm.
do know for me, I'm going to lock in 9 months and then 3 months, I'll try to go back to Europe. But I
Mm-hmm.
know in those 3 months is my balance. But for these 9 months, it's getting better. It's being obsessive with who I can become. So if it's
Yeah.
sales, doesn't matter. You have to be able to lock in. But if it's going to be a 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then you're not going to cut it. It's not going to make it
Mm-hmm.
because in sales, I'll say this because I don't want to go on a tangent on you, but sales is so much kind of like I feel like jujitsu. for the first moment, the first part or stage, you're not making money and you're getting your ass kicked. You're getting cooked for a little bit.
Oh
That's
yeah.
just how it takes. But the ones who are willing to keep coming up, who keep showing up, who keep getting on the mats, who keep putting that work, then you start to get that ammo. And then for whatever reason, it's like, oh wow, that close was objectionless. Oh
Hmm.
wow, I just collected this amount of money. I just made this amount of money.
Hmm.
But you have to be able to withstand that first stage where you're getting cooked.
Hmm. Dude, that's huge. That's massive. Yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna even add to it. That's like amazing. Take that as a soundbite, guys, and use it. It is not easy. The thing also I said I wouldn't add to, but I thought of something. The thing that's cool is when it works and when you find the thing that sticks or you find the aha moment, then I feel like you change your life forever. After that, I feel it doesn't even mean that like you immediately make life-changing money in 1 month, but you figured out the recipe so that you'll never go broke again, and then you can move towards abundance and having all these amazing things in your life, giving back to family, creating a better life for yourself. I think that's really what it is. um I'll end it there, dude. It's been amazing having you on the channel here. um Maybe we feature you again in a couple months with even a bigger tag next to your name, interviewing seven-figure founder Kwame about how he's scaling and growing. Any other words? Any other parting words? And I'm gonna let you go. Anything else?
No, man, I would just say, dude, thanks so much for the patience, for really showing me sales and a new light for me to be able to grasp these, really challenging concepts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're a big role in that. And to be honest, man, I still feel like, again, because I have a love and a passion for the game,
Yeah,
I still know that we're gonna be working together, here shortly because I still know I have a big mountain. That mountain for me to climb is not haven't reached the top,
for
and I
sure.
do know there's a lot that I need to do. And I know for you, man, like I'm not trying to pump this guy's tire, but I feel like this guy is the Michael Jordan of sales, man. Like any offer, this guy is able to figure out how to sell it, how to pitch it, how to
For sure.
position it. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah.
if I had your sales IQ, boy, woo, it'd be
You
over.
push. I love it. I love, like you said though. You said love the game. I for me, it's not even sales. I love the game of communication, understanding how to like achieve outcomes with your words. I think that's such a powerful thing. Um, and traumatizing myself in the dating space for years helped me with that. So sales is just easier. All right. Goodbye, brother. Do you want the people to follow you anywhere and stalk you online to look at your journey, or you don't care about all that?
If you want, Quam underscore Morris 29, and you'll
There we
definitely
go.
see roof installs for sure.
Amazing. I'll put it below because you guys can follow his journey. And maybe if you need sales reps or some dudes want to break into, you make a bunch of money and you're like, hey, we want to hire an SDR who works his ass off. I'm just saying, guys, Qualm might hire you in a couple months. Goodbye. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.